Bismillah. I'm going to be talking about how and why I think business is not just made for entrepreneur or business minded people. I think business is made for everyone. And I think most people, especially most men, if not all men, should be striving to create something of their own. My father has immigrated to this country, America, a long time ago, 2 decades ago, roughly. And since then, he's been working for one company for most of those 2 decades. And at the end of it, the company awarded him like a trophy after 2 decades that was probably like the size of a big eraser or maybe a very small water bottle. And so that's something that he can show people that, hey, I worked for this company for that long. You may know where I'm going with this, but at the end of all that work that he did, working many 12-hour shifts as well, for this company, all he had to show for it was a little trophy. All the work that he was putting in would not be shown to him later in life. All those seeds that he was putting in the ground so that they can later become plants, later can grow into trees, and so that they can bear fruits. None of those fruits he's going to see. And it's because he wasn't building something for himself. He was simply building something for someone else so that he can earn a temporary salary. In my opinion, that's one of the riskiest things you can do. And it's funny how a lot of people talk about when with business, there's so much risk involved. There's so much capital you need to have. Personally, running a business, it's a very small business, an e-commerce business. And I'm hoping to spread it out to YouTube and other social medias. Even on YouTube, technically, I have a business with, a very, very small amount of, money here and there that I've made in the past. Nothing anyone would look at from the outside and say, oh, this guy's serious. But I have posted a good amount of videos consistently for the past few months, and I've been doing this for about 2 months now. And this is part of the business too, building my personal brand, sharing the essence of my heart, you could say. But if I'm being honest, I think a lot of people should start a business. You gain independence, you build something for yourself. I'm Muslim, and in my religion, the last and final prophet after Adam, peace be upon him, and Noah, Moses, Abraham, Jesus, peace be upon them all, the last and final prophet is Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And he said, the best of work is that which you earn with your hands. Main meaning that comes from this, that many scholars agree on, is that entrepreneurship and business is encouraged. This is something where you build something for yourself so that you can have it later on as proof, as something that this came from your hands. This came from your consistent daily work, from your effort of struggling and working hard every single day. It was on your mind even after your shift ended, as people say, like, oh, I work 9 to 5 and then afterwards I can just relax with my family. You are tied to that job for however long until your savings meets a certain amount. Certain people's situations are different. Let's say you're a doctor in New York City and you make $500K a month, $500,000 a month. That's, even then, income is relative. How much are you paying for your rent and your mortgage and your car payments and everything like that? A big thing I want to talk about in this video is barakah in your wealth. Barakah is an Arabic word that translates to blessing. What is blessing in your wealth? We can start with wealth, but there can be blessing in anything that you do. In your time, in your work, your efforts. Blessing in your wealth means that regardless of how much you make a year, let's say, it meets all of your needs and beyond. So an example being, someone can literally make $50,000 in America. And for those tracking the economy nowadays, that's not a lot of money. And to support a family, $50,000 is quite difficult, especially in some areas, especially closer to cities. $50,000 a year, if it meets a person's needs in providing for their family, providing for themselves, and anything that they directly need beyond that. And then above that, there's some of their wants as well, like going out to go to the ice cream shop or going camping with their family, That is blessing in your wealth. And so many people think, as long as I make $1 million a year, I'll be set. $1 million a year, you'll be set? What if you're paying $750,000 a year just on your stuff that you need to have? Just because you bought a $100,000 car that you still have $50,000 of interest left to pay because of the compounding interest or something like that. It's another reason why I don't believe in interest. I don't believe that interest is good for humanity. It's good for society. I think even the people who do give it end up receiving the bad end of it as well. Interest reduces all risk and puts all consequences upon the buyer, regardless of what happens, regardless of if he gets in a car accident and loses 3 of his 4 limbs or half of his family just suddenly disappears. Interest means that you pay regardless of what happens in your life. And I believe loans are supposed to be an act of kindness only. Back to the main topic, I think we should be stressing more, having enough blessing in our wealth. Because let's say I end up somehow making $10 million a year. If I choose to have terrible investments and buy, for some reason, crazy liabilities, like 20 depreciating cars, supercars, that were terrible decisions to make, then I may be in the net negative. I know it's crazy to think about that, but it's possible. So making wise financial decisions by being financially literate, and on top of that, having a connection with God, I think are really good ways to have blessing in your wealth. So why is that important? Back to the main topic, business. When you build something with your hands, when you build something ground up, you have something that is much more stable. You know that at any point, it's not like you can just get a letter saying you have 2 weeks left at this company that you spent 2 decades spending your life in. This is something that so many people have gone through. I'm not saying quit your job and start a drop shipping business or whatever people are doing nowadays. All I'm saying is that everyone should consider doing something that isn't of their own. And that's why I think another main factor is having a personal brand in which you do things that you're passionate about. Right now, if you look through my YouTube videos, you can see that a lot of the things I talk about are life, purpose, spirituality, God. Those are my passions. Those are the things I like talking about. I like talking about the reason that we're here in this life. If you like woodworking, skateboarding, or moving around couches in your house because you like reorganizing your room every 2 weeks, I just came up with that. Yes, I did, because I looked at my couch. You do you. You do whatever you want to do, because if you don't, then you're not going to be consistent. And if you're not consistent, you're not going to properly build a personal brand. Personal brand is something that you do for basically however long that you choose to earn money or you choose to have a community. As for a community, that is one of the biggest reasons for why I stay consistent. It's because people reach out to me, they ask me questions, they say, hey, how did you do this? How did you do that? And I answer them. I say, this is what I did. If I were you, I would do this. But take my advice with a grain of salt, because I don't think I deserve to give you advice, because I'm still learning. But people still take value from that. There's a book, please tell me what it is, because I don't remember, that talks about the expert's dilemma. That might just be the name of the book. I don't know. It talks about how people who are so developed in a field, they're so expert in a field, completely forgot how it's like to be an amateur in that field. Someone might just go to them for advice, assuming that because they're an expert, they must be extremely helpful. But because they completely forgot how it's like to be an amateur, to not know things, to not know what it was like to start from the beginning, they assume things. They assume you already know a bunch of stuff. And a lot of times they can get frustrated. The expert can get frustrated at you. Why don't you know this? Isn't this obvious? This is something I've experienced so many times with professors of mine. A lot of you probably can relate. This is something I've experienced with people who are experts in their field. And I don't doubt that they're experts. I just doubt that they're able to help me. And I say this because I have gained immensely from other amateurs who are still just learning. They're still taking those first steps. And truthfully, I am taking those first steps. You know, you can very easily see that I'm a very beginner in YouTube. I'm an amateur in business. I'm going to start talking more and more about that on my YouTube channel, about the business that I'm currently running, my e-commerce business. I'm an amateur in TikTok. Recently, I'm trying to get into that because that's good for exposure. Building my personal brand. These are all things that I think are very important because I learned from other amateurs. That's something very important to do. And those amateurs are finding great success in not just making money, which is probably the biggest driver, but finding a community. Business allows you to find your community. And with the online realm nowadays, hopefully trying to dodge yourself from all the politics of everything, you can find some very, very sincere people who are passionate about those same things that you're passionate about. To end off, if you want to learn more about this personal brand thing that I'm talking about, like why is it that you should build your personal brand? What does it mean to have a personal brand? For one, Austin Kleon, the author of Show Your Work, he argues that every single person in a role already has a personal portfolio. They already have a personal brand that they're advertising to others. If you're a med student, you're advertising to med schools. If you're an engineer, you're advertising to engineering companies. If you're a business guy, you're advertising to sellers. Hey, look at me. Look at my products. Look at what I've done. Look at my experience. All Austin Kleon says in his book is you should extend that personal brand that you've created already, make it more intentional, and make it more about you. And he explains much better in his book. I recommend you do that. I'll leave a link to his Amazon in the description or link to his website. I don't know how to do Amazon. What are those links called that people make money off of them? If that was my business, I would encourage you to do that. But I've never done that before. So maybe one of you can teach me. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Know that people definitely do care about you and that you have a lot to offer that you might not even know of. At the beginning of this video, I'm going to be honest, I didn't even think I could talk for this long about this topic. I had an outline in mind, yeah. I made a rough outline before this video, but a lot of things just popped in my head. And I'm glad, because I know that when I speak to people about certain things, I was surprised that certain people that I've helped were helped in the first place by things that I've said. So I'm trying my best to extend that to help others and to find my community. Let me know if you enjoyed. Let me know if I was wrong about something, if you have a different take, or if you want to just say hello. All right? Thank you all. Take care. Peace.